Hello friends, welcome to this video. In this video we are discussing the previous year question paper of LDCE exam 2021-2022 paper 2. In this video we will be discussing question number 66 to question number 75, which are from the topics conduct rules. So let's start with question number 66. In which of the following circumstances sanction of the government is or not required for a government servant to give evidence in connection with an inquiry? So this question was asked again in 2023. To answer this question, let's go to page number 73. So here, as per the decisions taken by the government, tendering of evidence by government servants before the ARC, that is Administrative Reforms Commission, no permission of government or head of department is required for this purpose. Therefore, statement 3 of the question is correct, that no permission is required for submitting memoranda to ARC. Statement 1 says evidence to be given before Public Accounts Committee of the Parliament. Now in para 10, specifically evidence before committee or any other authority has been defined. And it is saying in rule 3 that nothing in this rule shall apply to evidence given at an inquiry before an authority appointed by the government, parliament or state legislature. Now, this Public Accounts Committee is appointed by the Parliament. Therefore, this rule will not be applicable to PAC, hence statement 1 is also correct. Statement 2 says submitting of memoranda to pay commission in his/her individual capacity. Then again, Government of India has issued instructions from time to time, and it was also issued on this matter. The tendering of evidence before the fourth pay commission. At that time, government issued this instruction that there is no objection to individual government servants submitting memoranda to pay commissions in their individual capacity, provided that the individual grievances will not be put to the commission. Therefore, statement 2 is also correct. Hence, all the three statements are true, and the right answer is D. Next question. Which of the following statements regarding the composition of complaints committee for dealing with complaints of sexual harassment is not correct? It should be headed by a woman. Yeah, that's true. Let's go to page number 42 before we answer this question. In para 7, it is explaining the complaint mechanism. So the second para reads that the complaints committee should be headed by a woman and not less than half of its members should be women. Therefore, first two statements in the question are right. The third statement says it should include a third party familiar with the issue of sexual harassment. Yes, this is also true that it should involve a third party to avoid the conflict of interest. This is very important that some external member is present. The last statement says at least one of the members should be a male. So in nowhere it is defined that male member is required to be in complaints committee, hence this is the incorrect statement and D is the right answer of this question. Next question is regarding, we have been given 4 statements and we have to identify which of them are correct. So first statement says frequent purchase and sale of shares in National Stock Exchange NSE through an authorized stockbroker is not in contravention of Rule 16 of CCS Conduct Rules. So the keyword here is frequent. Let's go to page 116 to answer this question. So in para 16, investment, lending and borrowing has been explained, the rules pertaining to these three activities. And in the explanation it is saying that frequent purchase of sale or both of shares, securities or other investments shall be deemed to be speculation within the meaning of this rule. And The first para says that no government servant shall speculate in any stock, share or other investment. Therefore, this will be amounting to speculation, and that is in contravention of conduct rules, hence statement 1 is incorrect. So now if we eliminate statement 1, we are only left with two options, which is C and D. But let's see what all of other statements are saying. Prior sanction of the prescribed authority shall be required for a district collector to lend money to his or her friend possessing land within the local limits of his or her authority. So let's go to page 117, para 16(4). In subpara A, it is saying that lending money as a principal or an agent to or from or with any person within the local limits of his authority. Hence, this is also contravention of conduct rules, hence will not be allowed. Therefore, prior sanction is required. If you want to give to a friend, as explained in para 4.1, that no government servant shall save in the ordinary course of business with a bank or public limited company, either himself or through any member of family, acting on his behalf, this. Therefore, prior sanction is required. Prior sanction is not required. Yes, prior sanction is required because this is not an ordinary case that he will be lending money to his friends, but in his official capacity is member of a board of a bank or a public limited company, then that's a different thing. So this is okay. Statement 3 says a government servant can enter into an occasional transaction relating to purchase of shares in the name of his wife from the stock exchange through authorized stockbroker without prior sanction of the government. So let's say what 16.1 says. So this is saying occasional transaction. If you read the second line, I have underlined it. This is the difference between statement 1 and statement 3. The statement 1 was saying frequent, statement 3 is saying occasion. So occasional transaction is allowed, and that's also being done with the name of the wife. So this is true. Statement 4 says there is no requirement for the government servant to report the purchase of life insurance policy irrespective of the annual premium amount. So if you will go to page 151, para 3.1, you will see that this limit has been fixed, that if it's 25,000 for group A and B officers and 15,000 for group C, it has to be declared and reported. So that makes the statement 4 incorrect, hence we are only left with two right options, which is statement 2 and 3, and the right answer is C. Let's move on to the next question. 69. In the context of CCS conduct rules, which of the following statements are correct? Members of Central Paramilitary Forces are covered by CCS conduct rules. Okay, I have not read about this particularly anywhere, so let's leave this statement for now. Second statement says personal staff of a union minister other than regular government employees appointed on co-terminus basis are not under the ambit of CCS conduct rules 1964. So let's go to page 31. This is also a very prominent theme, repeatedly asked, that on whom the conduct rules apply or leave rules apply, who is the member of family, who is not the member of family. So para 5 says on page 69 that since the personal staff of a minister, whether belonging to organized services or otherwise, are governed by the provisions of the conduct rules, they are also required to observe the orders outlined in preceding paragraph. Hence they are covered, they are not out of the ambit. Hence statement 2 is incorrect. Let's see statement 3. In cases involving failure on part of a government servant to maintain his family, action can be taken against him without invoking any of the conduct rules. So let's go to page 21, and if you remember in paper 3, this question is also asked that the wife of a government servant has complained that he is not taking care of his family issue a warning to him or show cause notice to him. So you can link topics like this while preparing, and you can also mention the relevant clause or relevant para of the conduct rules. That will help you fetch more marks in paper 3 if you can quote the exact rule. Then you can score more than 130, 135 easily. So this para 5 on conduct of government servant in relation to the proper maintenance of his family says that in case of failure, it has been suggested that a provision may be made in CCS rules to enable government to take action against those servants who do not take care of their families properly. The question was discussed and all that happened, and in the last it is saying that the departmental action can be taken against him on that score without invoking any of the conduct rules. Hence this is true. Now if you go to the options, we can eliminate statement 2 because it is incorrect. Hence we are left with only two options, C and D. And now we know that 3 is the right statement. We can easily select 1 and 3. So even if we are not aware of statement 1, we can solve this question just by adding the original source conduct rules without even knowing about the other statements. I am still trying to find out the source of this statement 1. Let's move on to the next question, number 70. Consider the following statements in connection of conduct rules 1964. NOC can be granted by a central government employee for seeking emigration to Canada. So this is a unique question. UPSC is making paper tough every year. It's on the last page of the PDF. And again, the government issued some instructions on emigration of central government servants to other countries, and it was decided that the question of issuing NOC to a government servant does not arise. So that's why government is clearly saying that even the question does not arise whether NOC should be given or not. Hence it is incorrect. Arrangements by district officers for affording normal courtesies to ministers on their visits connected with the election campaign are not in contravention of CCS conduct rules. This is the very basic theme. It is something which if you read once you will remember forever. So it is saying that arrangements by district officers for affording normal courtesies and security to ministers on their visits connected with the election campaign is not contravention of conduct rules. Hence this is true. Statement 3 says prior permission is not necessary for a government servant to join French language classes conducted by Alliance Francaise de Delhi. So for that, let's refer to page 55, in which government is, in para 11, government is writing about foreign language classes conducted by Indo-foreign cultural organizations joined by the government servants. So some specific organizations has also been named, which is, you will see that Alliance Francaise de Delhi is mentioned here, and it has been decided that the government servant desirous of joining such classes should obtain prior permission from the ministry or office in which they are serving. Hence prior permission is required. So statement 3 is also incorrect. So we are only left with one option, which is 2 only, that is option B. Next question is, consider the following statements in the context of CCS conduct rules 1964. Statement 1 says provisions of CCS rules are violative of Article 19 of the fundamental rights guaranteed under the Constitution of India. So actually you will not get a formal answer of this question. When somebody joins government service, they themselves relinquishes the enjoyment of fundamental rights to some extent. And other way of seeing this is that in fundamental rights, with every right there are some duties, or not duties but some reasonable restrictions imposed on enjoyment of those fundamental rights. Like right to speech does not guarantee to say anything to anybody or saying anything about the country to others. So the statement 1 is incorrect because there is no formal violation of Article 19. Second, staff car provided to a female government official for duty from home to office and back qualifies as workplace under Rule 3C of CCS Conduct Rules. So if you'll go to the old PDF of Conduct Rules, which has been updated till 2014, on page 5, 3C, you will find the definition of workplace. Let me open it for you. So we are here in that old PDF of Conduct Rules. In subpara 4 it is written that any place visited by an employee arising out of or during the course of the employment, including transportation provided by the employer for undertaking such journey, will be treated as workplace. Hence statement 2 is also right. Sometimes it is not given verbatim, but the theme or the meaning has to be understood carefully. Statement 3 says a central government servant approaching Central Administrative Tribunal to challenge his or her transfer order without obtaining government permission is not violative of CCS Conduct Rules. Yes, so if you are approaching CAT, the purpose of the CAT is to solve the issues coming in your service. So you do not require any permission, but you are not allowed to bring any political or outside influence. But in the office, you can approach CAT. You can raise the matter through your association, employee association. You can raise the matter to senior authorities in your department. You can approach CAT if that does not serve the purpose, but you do not need any permission. Statement 4 says a government servant holding supervisory post can be proceeded against for his failure to take all reasonable and necessary steps to ensure the integrity and devotion to duty of the subordinate of staff under his or her control and the authority. So yes, it is duty of the government servant to make sure that his subordinates are also showing full integrity and devotion to the duty. Let's see the answer on page 10. So I'm again referring to the latest CCS Conduct Rules. In para 3, where general conduct rules are defined, in subpara 2 this statement has been given, so this is also correct. So only one statement is wrong, which is statement 1, and the right answer is 2, 3 and 4 only, that is option C. Next question is 72. Again, consider the following statements in context of CCS Conduct Rules 1964. Statement 1 says cash prize won by a government servant which exceeds his 2 months basic pay needs to be reported to the government. Yes, because if it's more than 2 months, the logic here is that it's a kind of property or a movable property and it has crossed some threshold amount. That's why the word 2 months is mentioned in this statement. So when this threshold is crossed, you have to report it to your office. Second statement says government servants should not bid in the auctions arranged by their own offices. Yes, to avoid conflict of interest, it is very much required that they abstain themselves from such auctions. And page 128, in para 5, government has given clear guidelines on prohibition of government servants from bidding at government auctions, either personally or also by proxy. So that is also true. Statement 3 says transactions in movable property entered into by a government servant's spouse out of her own funds, such as Sridhan, etc., also need to be reported to the government. So Sridhan thing is very clearly defined that it is not required to be reported. Let's see. Statement in para number 2 that all transactions of both immovable and movable property made out of the funds, and in bracket it is writing including Sridhan, gifts, inheritance, etc., of dependent government servants, definitely spouse, dependent, irrespective of the person in the name the transaction is made, should be reported in the following manner. So it is talking about both transactions in movable property and transactions in immovable property. So here it is, the question is on movable property, that is subpara B. So transaction in movable property should be reported immediately on completion or immediately after the government servant comes to know of them, hence they have to be reported. So this is incorrect. Statement 3 is wrong. Now FDs. Statement 4 says fixed deposits in the bank made by a government servant out of his accumulated savings are mandatorily to be reported to the government in case their value exceeds his 2 months basic pay. So we have to go to two different rules to find the right answer. Let's go to page 119 first. The para 3 says that FDs with bank are already provided in Rule 16.4 of CCS Conduct Rules 1964. It is giving a reference to Rule 16, which is on investment, borrowing and lending. Now FDs are kind of investment. Further, however, in regard to fixed deposits with bank, also a report should be made to the prescribed authority under Rule 18.3 of the Conduct Rules if the monetary limit laid down therein are exceeded. So again, monetary limits are 2 months of the basic pay because it's a kind of movable property, hence this is also incorrect. So we are left with only two incorrect options, which is 3 and 4. And if you read carefully, the last statement says which of these statements given above are not correct. So don't make this mistake in the exam, that even after knowing the right answer you are choosing the wrong option. So 3 and 4 are the incorrect options and the right answer is B. Next question is Conduct Rules, it's 73. Consider the following statements in context of CCS Conduct Rules 1964. The statement 1 says, a government servant in his representation for transfer to another station cites a secret circular. No, you cannot cite something which is confidential or secret nature in your representation, because you do not have any access to those documents, and if you are quoting those documents, that is violation of rule. Statement 2 says government servant acts as an election or polling agent of a candidate at an election. Let's see what is the rule position on this. This is page 59 and 61. So it is saying in para 134A, penalty for government servants for acting as election agent, polling agent or counting agent. If any person in the service of the government acts as an election agent, polling agent or a counting agent, he shall be punishable with imprisonment, which may exceed to 3 months, or with fine, or with both. Hence this is a violation of conduct rules. Statement 3 says the members of the service association collect funds from public for staff welfare without seeking any permission from the appropriate authority. So generally it is right, exceptions apply. Let's see the complete rule on page 80. It is saying that the appeal is confined to the members and no permission is need to be sought in this case, but if any approach to the public is made, whether directly or indirectly, such permission should be necessary. That you cannot approach public, but in question we are saying that asking the funds from public for staff welfare, so that's why you need the permission, because you are asking the funds from public. Hence this is also a violation. A group A government servant accepts a gift of rupees 5,000 in value from a friend with whom he has no official dealings without prior sanction of the government. So let's see whether this limit is correct. In page 83, rule 13. So yes, this was a repeated question. Earlier it came in 2023 as question number 72. Now it has come in as question 73. I'm sorry, like it got repeated in 2023 as question number 72. So under the title gifts, in para 2 it is defined that on occasions such as wedding, anniversaries, etc. Government servant can accept gifts from their relatives, personal friends with whom he do not have any official dealings, but he has to make a report when the value of gift exceeds 25,000 for group A. So in question we are saying we are been given a figure of 5,000, so the government servant do not need to report it to the authorities. Hence this is not a violation, so statement 4 is not a violation. So only statement 1, 2 and 3 are violations of conduct rules, and the right answer is B. Let's move on to the next question, which is question number 74. We are left with 2 more questions in this video. Question 74 says, to maintain absolute integrity is relevant to which one of the following rules of CCS Conduct Rules 1964? So this is a very difficult question because we cannot remember to such a great detail until we have revised so many times, or if such a question has been repeated in past. If we go to page 10 and rule 3, sub rule 1, and after sub rule 1 again subpara 1, it is saying that every government servant shall at all times maintain absolute integrity. So it is a very first rule defined for a government servant, so you can remember it with practice. That's why I am quoting even subparas in my answers, so that sometimes you may remember the key provisions and may get extra marks in the exam, because most of the people will not be able to mark this answer as right because they will be confused. Question number 75 says, in accordance with the provisions of CCS Conduct Rules 1964, which one of the following is not treated as a part of family of the government servant? So statement 1 says, spouse of the government servant living separately as per mutual understanding. So there is no such concept of mutual understanding. It should be either separated by judicial decree or court order. On page 9, family has been defined under subpara C of rule 2, and it is saying that wife or husband, whether residing or not with a government servant, but does not include a wife or husband, as the case may be, separated from the government servant by a decree or order of competent court. So there is no such mutual understanding thing, hence they should be separated by court. So statement 1 is incorrect. Then let's go to statement B, an employed stepdaughter living with the government servant. For that we'll see statement sub rule 2, son or daughter or stepson or stepdaughter of the government servant and wholly dependent on him, but does not include a child or stepchild who is no longer in any way dependent on the government servant. So the word employed here is the key word in this statement, because when a stepdaughter is employed, she is no longer dependent on the government servant. That's why she will not be treated as part of his family with respect to conduct rules. Therefore statement B is the right answer. Let's also see statement C and D. Children of all government servants studying abroad. So studying abroad does not make them independent. They are still dependent on GS. That's why they are part of family. Parents of the spouse residing with and wholly dependent on government servant. So again we go to subpara 3. It says that any other person related whether by blood or marriage. So parents of the spouse are in-laws and they are related to the government servant by marriage, and they are wholly dependent on the government servant. Yes, so they are wholly dependent as per the question, so they are also part of the family. Hence the right answer is statement B. So this brings us to the end of this video. If you like our video, press the like button, subscribe to our channel. You can join us on Telegram. The link has been given in description. You can also comment that which kind of videos or what kind of topics you want us to cover in future. Till then, thank you so much. Goodbye.